A very good evening, viewers. Today we'll be doing IUPAC nomenclature for organic compounds in which you've got an aldehyde and a ketone group together. Both these groups fall under the category of carbonyl groups. Ketones have a carbonyl which is flanked by two R groups on both the sides. Hence, it would be somewhere in the center of the chain. Hence, your numbering for this group becomes important. It's somewhere in the center. Whereas an aldehyde group also has a C double bond O, but on one side it has to have an H. It may have H on both the sides also, but at least on one side it has to have a hydrogen attached. Thereby, this group would always be at the end. Since it would be at the end and being a functional group, generally it's given the position as number 1. So you may or may not mention its position. It is called as the terminal functional group. For ketones, we use the suffix as "-on", and the position is to be mentioned. Whereas for an aldehyde, the suffix used is "-al", and position may or may not be mentioned because it is the end group. Since the compounds that we are going to talk about are the ones which have got both aldehyde as well as ketones together, in that case, the compound will have two suffixes, "-on" for the ketonic part and "-al" for the aldehydic part, which is not allowed. A functional group cannot have two suffixes of the functional groups. An organic compound will never have two suffixes for the functional groups. So, in that case, you need to know the priority order. Out of the two, the priority order is an aldehyde has a higher priority than a ketone. Therefore, this becomes your primary functional group and this would always be the suffix. While for this case, you will not be using it as a suffix. You need a prefix for this particular group, which is either oxo or a keto. Don't forget the number at which such a carbon, the ketonic carbon, is present is also to be mentioned. Let's take the first example to get a clearer picture. The compound that I have taken is this. This part is the aldehydic part. This part is the ketonic part. Total number of carbons in the compound in the chain are 1, 2, 3 and 4. Since there are 4 carbons, the parent chain is of but. Since there is no double bond, it remains a butanol because of the presence of an aldehyde group. This would be an "-al" as a suffix, while this can be either an oxo or a keto. I am using the word oxo in this case. Which side do I start the numbering from? We begin the numbering from the functional group which has a higher priority. That is the aldehydic group. So, number 1, 2, 3 and 4. At the third position, you have an oxo. So, the way to write it is 3-oxo butanol. You will not mention the position of the aldehyde since it is always at the terminal. The common error done by the students is they know that this is the priority group, but while substituting the positioning of the keto, they do it from the right. Hence, they instead of calling it as a 3-oxo, they call it as a 2-oxo, which would be absolutely wrong. Taking the second example, you have a CH3, CH double bond CH, a CO, CH2. Just looking at the CO, don't be thrilled that these are aldehydes or these are ketones. Check what is on both the sides of that CO group. If on both the sides you have carbons, this becomes a ketone. While if you have a single H on one side, this becomes an aldehyde. As we very well know, the priority of the aldehyde is more than that of a ketone, so the numbering will be from the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Since the total number of carbon chain is of 6, the name has to be with hexanal. So you have taken into account the aldehyde and the 6 carbon. But you have not taken into account the hexenal because there is a double bond. Hence this is not correct. While numbering 1, 2, 3, hex is okay. But you cannot write it as an hexane. You have an ene at 1, 2, 3, the fourth position. So it is hex 4 ene. And then at the first position you have an al. One you may not mention. Plus this e gets cancelled when you have two suffixes following each other. The e of the first suffix gets cancelled if the second suffix begins with a vowel or a y. We've done the 6 carbons. We've taken the aldehyde. We've taken into account the ene also. We are left with the keto group. The keto group is at what position? Beginning from here again, don't forget. 1, 2 and 3. So it is a 3-oxo-hexane 1-al. 3-oxo-hex 4-enal. In for the double bond, 1 for the aldehyde. That's it. With this we end the class.